Hey everybody, hope you're doing well. So I want to talk about, inviting abundance. To me, the best thing that you can do as a trader is get in on the higher time frames when the moves are starting and then to stay in the moves for as long as possible. Psychologically, that to me is inviting wealth and abundance into your world. The minute you cauterize it, you're saying something's not right here. I'm making too much money. I'm only worth 3R. I don't have the right to think about 5 or 10R now. I have to. I'm a 3R trader. I'm a broke ass MRFer, but I'm 3R, and that's the way I do shit. That's how we roll over here. I'm a 3R guy, and so to me, learning to stay in the trade, however you do it, which is emotional, right? That's an emotional part of the trading is learning to stay in the winners. Figuring out where to put your protective stop is fourth grade math, right? It's not terribly sophisticated. You don't need, you know, understand, Fermat. You don't understand differential equations. All of that stuff, I suppose it can be useful in certain circumstances, but it's not necessary. It really comes down to grade school math. And then you got to stop watching the screen. You're panic struck already by my even saying that. I don't know, man. I'm in more control if I look at it. Nah, you think that, but you're not. And so you video game it. And again, I'm not making fun of you, but I'm saying these are the habits that keep you small. The very things that you think are inviting abundance are actually limiting beliefs because you're not good enough to know where the move is over. Why is that? Because neither am I. Humans suck at prediction, although we all kind of overestimate our skill. So the best thing that I did for my trading early on was that I knew whether I was right or I was wrong, that I needed to stay in my winners because for where I was financially, I didn't have it in me to go home with small gains because it didn't change my life. It happened for a minute because I was like, okay, I can see, I have evidence now that I have a winning trade. It's like the first time you have sex. Now it's after the fact knowledge. Now you can improve. So when you make small gains, don't get in the habit of doing that. The problem for many people right now is that the markets aren't really that great. So if you're not a short seller, that's where the bigger moves have been. And I can't tell you what's right for you in terms of trading things long or trading things short or using options. That's something that you have to figure out for yourself. But getting in on the move is the best that you can do. If you want to increase your wealth, the best thing that you can do is stay out of your own way and let that move go. There will be volatility in your account. That is feedback from the market that you're in the right situation because markets will go up and down in an upward manner. The names might not be sexy. I was looking at the 52 weeks high and they were Sprouts. Farmers Market was making a new multi-period high. That's not one of the Magnificent Seven, which brings me another idea. The minute one of the names that you're trading has been memeified, do not trade it. Because without specific training, right? Without specific day trading or swing trading experience, you're rubbernecking like when you drive and you see an accident in the other direction and you stop to look and go the other way and see what the fuss is all about. That's not really what pro traders do. Pro traders come in with a goal and an objective and their list of names, and they focus on one thing that they know they can really do well. They don't have 75 different ways to execute. They also don't rely on indicators. Those are all Band-Aids to try to help you feel your feelings around what you're doing. Now, again, my kudos is, I have a lot of respect for anyone who's trying to try. But I've had enough this year of people who are trading small accounts, have been sold a bill of goods that want me to kind of validate their feelings or their operations when I know for a fact it doesn't work. So you're free to do what you want. I'm not here to kind of coach you. I'm just here to give you some straight talk and tell you what I went through that I had to do to graduate from being, a tiny guy with virtually no money, to build my wealth. So to me, staying in the trade for as long as possible, that means overnight and over the weekend, is actually inviting wealth and abundance into your world. Why? Well, because the market's a lot smarter and bigger and stronger than you'll ever be. So when you're out there trying to be like, I don't know. I don't want to. I'll have to figure out a way to say it that doesn't sound, too over the top or hurtful, because that's not the spirit of the show here. I know what it's like because I came from that background. But what I'm saying is, inviting the abundance is how you're going to actually grow your wealth, because you need to have risk. Risk and reward are connected. If you kind of always take off the good risks, you're saying to me that you don't really want the abundance in your life, or you want to come back, turn this into blue collar despair, and try to find another way to do it tomorrow. See, that's the wrong mindset. And how to me, how you resist this is the relative strength of how much wealth that you want, and how much of it that you think you're entitled to or deserve. If you feel you have to take a working class mentality to the market, and that's because there's virtue or morality in that, okay, that's your belief system. But to me, it's a lot easier to, especially in this market where there's not that many really good trades, to find the ones that work, put on a small piece and stay out of the way, because you don't know how high it'll go. And you look like an idiot taking a 3R move if a month later you look, the thing is up 15R. And I don't care if you can take 3R and 1R and 2R and this and that. It's too much work when you're already in the winning trade. Like I said, once a decade, my stop would get jumped. No big deal. It's no big deal. When you're really attached to the money, it's a really big deal. And it can set you off for 2 weeks, bitching and moaning to everybody, getting attention. Oh, poor you, keep staying with it. Like, that's part of the deal. There's really nothing to complain about, because you know in advance it's going to happen. So again, when I ask you what's your goal, is it to bitch and bellyache and get sympathy from people who don't know their ass from a hole in the ground when it comes to trading? Is that really what you want? Or do you want to grow your wealth? Because if you want to grow your wealth, there are specific things that you have to do, which is, first and foremostly, keep your losses small. Second, which is really 1B, if 1A is keeping your losses small, the next one is let your winners run. Everybody since Jesus was a kid has said, let your winners run. But because your account is underfunded, you're in utter fear. And you can't invite abundance into your world when you live in a world of fear and small-mindedness. Those two things are never going to work. They don't conjugate. So you have to change your mindset, which is why I spend all my days here talking to people about mindset, because the trading rules are easy. If you don't know who you are, it doesn't matter what you know. You need to know what makes you tick. What that is, what your ethos is, what's the whole sole purpose of your life is reflected through your goal. What is your goal? What do you want your money to do for you? Don't tell me about buying shit either. That's not the goal. How do you want your money to serve you? Because you spend the early years working for your money, and as you accumulate more and more money, right? This is just basic finance. Your money starts to work for you. Do you want to do blue collar grunt work every day for your $50? And again, I know that there's a group of folks who have done this, but to me, those are folks who either had a knack, they had the right emotional constitution, they were born with it like I was just lucky that way, and or they were able to figure it out very, very quickly. You have to understand how you feel about money. And if you don't want to invite that in, you have to really look at yourself and say, well, my stated goal is to have all this abundance, but yet I cut the abundance off every day. at 4 o'clock. You know, so get super clear about that tonight when you think about it. How much abundance do you think you deserve? And how the hell do you think you're going to get there making $100 a day? Right? Because if a stock has moved $20 and you've taken $4 out of it, that's nothing to celebrate. You need to find a way to stay with your winners longer. There's a misconception out there that you need to constantly move your money. And if I look at the things that have made me money, I've had futures trades on for 3 or 4 months in the same positions, not in and out, in and out, in and out. So I don't want to hear anything about what you can or what you can't do, because I'm evidence that you can do it or that it is possible. Whether you can do it comes down to, are you willing to do it? Do you have the will to do it? Do you have the will to do it? Because you have results or you have excuses. That's the paradigm of personal responsibility. You get results or you have excuses. And then you wake up one day and you realize for the last 3 years you've been bullshitting yourself. I feel gross when I do that with myself, which is why I teach my philosophy on life, because it keeps me true to my form. It keeps me on the straight and narrow. Right? Because it's a way, abundance is a way of life. And I'm going to talk about this more with Ganja because he's the better guy to have these conversations with. But it transcends everything in my life. My sleep, the things I put in my body, that I eat and that I consume, my jiu-jitsu practice, my creating art. It all comes and stems from abundance and what I think I'm entitled to, which is a lot. So how do you value your time? How do you value your efforts? And when you look at what's the first thing that you want to do when you take a winning trade? Who do you call? Because then I'd say, did that person not give you enough validation over the course of your life? Or why do you think that their buy-in or validation actually means anything? How does that help your net worth? I admit it's important to have good self-esteem, but getting stroked off by somebody that you barely know doesn't seem like that rewarding an experience. You see? So this is good homework for you, just to kind of conjugate your behavior with your belief system. You know, what is it that you want out of your trading? How does it serve you emotionally? And if you're honest with yourself and you break it down, it'll be very, very revealing. I want a lot of attention on social media. You know, people write in over here and they say, and I appreciate it, they're like, I don't know how he doesn't have 100,000 followers. I mean, to me, those are vanity metrics. What the hell am I going to do with 100,000? I mean, I'll have a richer experience and I'll have more questions to answer. That'll probably be good, but it's not like I'm running advertising here. It's not like I give a shit about what anyone else in the world thinks about me. So I don't care about casting that shadow. It's very hollow, right? It's not, you know, when the student needs the teacher is oftentimes very, very ready and available and oftentimes right under the nose. So I put it out there for karma. I want my karma bank full, right? Because I'm giving back in a way where I wasn't necessarily cheated. I don't feel like I'm victimized. But I do remember asking for help, and there wasn't a lot of help to be gotten. Now, I don't know if I even got the help, if it would have been good, right? So I can't put quality and quantity, you know, together here. But I made a promise that if I did have success, I would reciprocate and pay it forward and pay it back out so that anybody who's listening, people I'll never meet, can benefit, right? And this takes a fair amount of time for me when I don't really have a lot of time. But when I said that the governing principles in my life are about abundance, part of abundance for me is giving, because it tells me that the abundance is going to keep coming. Just like when you stay in winning trades over the night and over the weekend. Amplitude on trades doesn't mean anything because you don't know what that amplitude is until after the fact, right? So that's a stupid thing to say. It's not a trading rule, you know? So Anyway, invite abundance. And if you're afraid of abundance, look at that. Why do you have an unconscious or a subconscious fear around money? You know, that's a deep thing. You know, and in the consulting, we look at that. Where does that come from? Who taught you about money? Who taught you about finance or abundance? What kind of lifestyle were they living? Were they always complaining about stuff? You know, did they take incorrect change in their favor from the cashier because that extra $5 mattered? So, you know, look deep within yourself, Clarice, and learn where you can invite, because it's a lifestyle choice. You can invite abundance in a number of areas, maybe get comfortable with it outside of trading and then have it seep into your trading. I don't know how it will happen for you, but I do know this is that if you constantly take small gains, you're always going to be the small banana. The water's always going to be cold for you financially. So measure your relative strength by how much you think you deserve in terms of wealth and abundance. And then what are you doing in your behavior to do that? So that your rates of return and your gains on a per trade basis have a comma in them. Because you're not going to move the needle taking $200 out of the E-mini. Might feel good emotionally, but it's not going to do shit for you financially. Because net of losses and slippage and skid and fees, this is how you stay a break-even trader for years. And if that's okay, then don't complain about it. Because my guess is the behavior that you're exhibiting is predictable. Your behavior predicts where you end up. Someone really bright's been saying that for a long time, because that's what happens for me. I'm not saying that any of this stuff, it all applies to me. I had to discover this on my own. You're lucky. You get to someone to point this out to you, and you can do some self-discovery and some investigation right now. And I'm not giving you a damn invoice. I'm not telling you to drive my bullshit system for outsized gains. Anyway, it's fun. Anyway, I appreciate you all being here. I'll have Ganja tomorrow, and then I'll have 2 other episodes on Thursday and Friday. Thanks very much for being here, folks. I'll see you tomorrow. Okay, everybody, thanks for being here. Please take a minute, like and subscribe to the show. You could also leave a comment. I don't have all the answers, so it's good to get some feedback. Also, if you would like to support the show, check out the links below. You can get the free audiobook of The Inner Voice of Trading, and also information about the course that I teach with Victor Sperandio. Thanks for being here, folks. I'll see you tomorrow.